Like Darlene Love and Cissy Houston, this vocalist's considerable gifts as a soul singer were mostly confined to session work. And like Aretha Franklin's sisters, this singer had to struggle with the shadow of a superstar sibling. Certainly she had the talent to compete as an artist in her own right, but she only had a sporadic run of small hits in the 1960s and early 70s, and benefited from neither frequent recording opportunities nor substantial promotion from her labels. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Dee Dee Warwick. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born Delia Juanita Warwick on September 25th, 1942 in East Orange, New Jersey, to Mansell Warwick, who began his career as a Pullman porter and subsequently became a chef, a gospel record promoter for Chess Records, and later a certified public accountant. And Lee Drinking Warwick, who was the manager of the Drinking Singers. Warwick had one sister, Dionne Warwick, and a brother, Mansell Jr., who was unalived in an accident in 1968 at the age of 21. Dee Dee began singing with her older sister Dionne as a teenager in the 1950s. Warwick began singing with her older sister Dionne as a teenager in the 50s. They formed the Gospelaires, who sometimes sang with the Drinkard Singers, a long-running gospel outfit that their mother had helped found. The group also featured their aunt, Cissy Houston.
My grandfather was a minister, and my mother's family sang gospel, and her father was a deacon of the church, and we were there from sunup to sundown.
At 14, Dionne and her sister Delia formed their own group, the Gospelaires. They sang at churches and won first prize at an amateur gospel hour hosted at Harlem's Apollo Theater.
They were recording Sam the Man Taylor and Nappy Brown, and they wanted the Drinker Singers to back them up. And they couldn't go because they were performing at the Apollo.
Let's see how the tears and the sadness you gave me when you said goodbye.
And Bert would take 60 takes if it took that. Everybody said, now wait a minute. He says, come on, one more time, just one more. And we do it.
Like many gospel singers, Dee Dee moved into secular soul in the early 60s, along with Dionne, Cissy, Doris Troy, and the Sweet Inspirations. She was one of New York's most in-demand session vocalists during the era, contributing to numerous pop and soul records by the likes of The Drifters, Chuck Jackson, Garnet Mims, Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, and Wilson Pickett. In 1960, Warwick graduated from East Orange High School. Dee Dee was happy to earn a decent income as a backup vocalist in the early years of her career. But she didn't stop recording her own albums in 1963. She recorded the original version of You're No Good, which Betty Everett covered and went on to become a smash in 1975 with Linda Ronstadt. Warwick's 1963 single was produced by Jerry Leiber and Mike Stuller, who tried one more time with her in 1964 on Standing By, a single for the Small Hurt label, also flopped. In the latter half of the 1960s, she started to take her solo career more seriously and released a few albums and over a dozen singles for Mercury. Dee Dee's records from the 1960s were good New York pop and soul with a stronger R&B influence than her sisters, even though they weren't as successful as Dionne's. I Want to Be With You, Foolish Fool,
She got to be a crazy, 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 crazy.
and I'm Gonna Make You Love Me.
I'm gonna use every trick in the book to try my best to get.
These songs were among the notable R&B tunes that made the R&B Top 20. But when the Supremes and the Temptations do a version of I'm Gonna Make You Love Me, peaked at number 2 on the pop charts, they stole some of Dee Dee's thunder.
Yeah, the Supremes and the Temptations. Like I said, they covered me, but they had to use 2 groups, men and women, to cover my record. So that's my only refuge.
Warwick signed to ACO at the beginning of the 70s, getting a top 10 R&B single right off the bat with She Didn't Know She Kept On Talking.
She couldn't see me cry.
Over the next couple of years, she makes several other singles and an album, all of which comprise her earthiest work to date, sometimes with help from the Dixie Fives rhythm section and backup vocals by the Sweet Inspirations only. See Cold Night in Georgia. Made a little commercial noise, however, and she returned to Mercury in 1973. She has since claimed that Atlantic was throwing most of its promotional weight for more mainstream female soul singers. Warwick continued to record for various labels in the 1970s, but only Get Out of My Life.
If you can swear to me that you don't care.
Then in the R&B charts, since the mid-70s, she has done backup vocals for Dionne Warwick and recorded sporadically on her own. Throughout her career, Dee Dee Warwick has been nominated twice for a Grammy Award. In 1999, Warwick received a Pioneer Award from the Rhythm and Blues Foundation and National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in 2023. Warwick had congenital diabetes and her health began to deteriorate in the 90s. She suffered a stroke in the summer of 2008 and Dionne decided to place her in a nursing home where she stayed for several months. Her sister was with her when she passed on October 18, 2008 in a nursing home at the age of 66. The 2018 documentary titled Whitney, directed by Kevin MacDonald, included allegations that Warwick had S.A. Whitney Houston and her brother Gary when Whitney was at a young age, and Gary was around 8 years old, while Warwick was in her mid to late 20s. Regardless of the allegations, Warwick's sister Dionne and Whitney Houston's mother, Sissy, expressed doubt regarding the truthfulness of the allegations.
Now the shocking claim made in the new Whitney Houston documentary that Whitney was abused as a child by her cousin Dee Dee Warwick, the sister of superstar Dionne Warwick. Now Whitney's mother, singer Cissy Houston, is speaking out, saying it didn't happen, adding she's overwhelmed by the allegation.
Shock and horror. That's how Whitney Houston's mom says she's feeling over claims that her daughter was molested as a child. In the new documentary, Whitney, the late superstar's longtime assistant, makes the jaw-dropping allegation that Whitney was sexually abused by her cousin Dee Dee Warwick, Dionne Warwick's younger sister. The abuse allegedly started when Whitney was a youngster. In the documentary, Mary Jones, Whitney's personal assistant, says she told Whitney, "You've got to tell your mother Dee Dee molested you." But Whitney never did. "I think she was ashamed," the assistant says. "She used to say, 'I wonder if I did anything to make her think I wanted her.' And I'd say, 'Stop it, stop it. A predator is a predator.'" The story is featured on the cover of the new issue of People magazine on stands Friday.
Sources tell people that the molestation that was alleged to take place when she was a kid really impacted her throughout her entire adulthood and may have been the reason why she couldn't shake addiction.
Whitney's older brother Gary says he was also fondled by Dee Dee Warwick.
I was being fondled with, from time to time.
Now Whitney's mother, Cissy Houston, is telling the magazine, "We cannot overstate the shock and horror we feel and the difficulty we have believing that my niece, Dee Dee Warwick, molested Whitney. Dee Dee may have had her personal challenges, but the idea that she would have molested my children is overwhelming and for us, unfathomable."
I want to give you a chance to respond, whatever you want to say about the story that came out about your sister and Whitney Houston.
I have tried to refrain from responding to that. First of all, it's totally hogwash. My sister would never, ever have done anything to do any harm to any child, especially within our family. And for those lies to be perpetuated in this so-called documentary film, Yeah, I think it's evil.
Were you shocked?
Totally, and I have not. I will never, and I mean this, ever forgive those who perpetuate this insanity.
Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song from Dee Dee Warwick?